Hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this video we're going to create some set driven keys for our fingers and our thumb. We might as well get stuck straight into it. So the first thing that I really need to do is I want to have the model invisible. So I can just see the joints and see the controllers as well. First thing I am going to do, so if I begrudgingly open all of this up, and what I want to do is I want to grab the right wrist right the way down to the right thumb. So I can just see, all I want to see here is the orientation of all of them. So I've got rigging set up to here, and I want to display, transform and local rotation axes. And they're all following this same line, which is great. So it looks to me like we're going to be rotating on our Z axis. So when these curl up, they're going to be rotating across the rotate Z axis. Cool. So I can just turn the display for that off. And then I can close all this up, which is nice as well. So, right, so I'm going to start with the thumb. And what I want to do is I want to create a brand new attribute for this controller here. So I'm going to select the right hand controller. I'm going to go right into here, into the attribute editor, over to attributes and add an attribute here. What I can do in here is I can call this the right thumb bend or curl. Curl works. We want this to be a float. If I wanted it to be a whole number, I'd select integer, but I want it to be able to have a decimal point, maybe like 0.3 or 0.5 and stuff like that, which will make that really useful there. We want it to stay scalar because we're not using particles, and we're going to have a minimum value of -1 and a maximum value of 5. This just gives a lot of maneuverability for the hand as well, for each of these appendages. So I'm going to click add, and then I can close that. And now that that's been created, I have something that goes from -1 all the way up to 5 on there. But that does nothing else. It does nothing at this point. So what we are going to need to do is we're going to need to set a driven key here. So what I can do on here is by selecting the right thumb curl and then control right clicking, I can set driven key here. And then I get this options box that pops up here. So what we want the controller to be is the driver as opposed to the driven. So this is the thing that's going to drive the movement as opposed to being driven by the value that we set here. So if I load that in as the driver, then I can start to load in the different points for the thumb that I'm going to be setting keys for. So this first key is going to be for the first part of the thumb, and this is going to be so we need to make sure that we're selecting the right thumb curl on the right hand controller, and then we want to select our right thumb 1 joint and load driven. And what we'll notice is that this is the Z axis, so that is the one that we want to be animating on. So if we have that at 0, select our Z axis, then we can key that there. Awesome. And then all we need to do is select the second part of the thumb, and we're going to load it in as the driven, select the rotate Z and key that there as well. So now when we select our controller, our 0 is set for both of these. So what we need to do now is we need to set our -1. So if I go right down to -1, and then I'm going to just select both of these and just rotate them back a bit on that Z axis. Now that I've got that, I can go to I can grab thumb 1, load it as the driven, select the rotate Z and key that, and then do the same for thumb 2 and load that in as the driven, select the rotate Z and key that. So now when I've got the controller selected, I have 1, -1 and 0 selected, set there. So now I need to select the furthest point on 5. So if I grab both of these again, let's undo that. So select the first one, select the second one, and then I'm just going to rotate these in. So we've got a nice sort of thumb in there. Awesome. And then I can grab each one of them individually, grab thumb 1, load it in as the driven, grab our rotate Z, just our rotate Z and key that. And then we just need to do the same for our thumb 2. Grab our rotate Z on thumb 2 and key that. So now what we have, which is quite nice, is we have a point for all of them. We can put 0.5 in here, and then we've got a semi-relaxed thumb. 0 is our fully relaxed thumb as well, which is quite nice there, and that's nicely done for us. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do this for the other fingers on both hands, so that I can have a driven key for the fingers on both of them. If I do show my model again, there will be some form of skinning that we're going to need to do, but there'll be a tutorial that comes out with this one for that. So we are getting that thumb bending quite nicely as well, and it goes back a bit as well. Awesome, so that's the thumb. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the index finger now. So I'm going to open up the attribute editor. I'm only going to do this once more, because then you guys can do this in your own time as well. So I've got attributes. I'm going to add an attribute. This is going to be right_index_curl. Again, we're going to have the same values as before, so we're going to keep it as a float, have it scalar, and then we're going to have -1 as the minimum and 5 as the maximum, and we're just going to add that there, which we can now go to our channel box. So if I close that now, and then I can select this, control and right click, so I can open up the set driven keys menu, and I want to load this as the driver. So now I want to load in each of these. Let's hide the model again, and select I want to load it as the driven. So index 1 and index curl are both going to be on 0. I'm just going to check that we're on 0 for the index curl, which we are. And I'm just going to check that this is I think this is the Y now. Yeah, so this is the rotate Y for us. So the reason this is because our thumb rotates on a different sort of plane to our fingers, so we need to bear that in mind, and we know that those are going to rotate set differently on a different axis to our thumb. So with that in mind, I thought I'd just check that there, and it is the rotate Y that we're going to be animating, setting these keyframes on. So we've got that all set to 0. I'm going to key that one for index 1, do the same for index 2, so I'm going to load it as the driven, get the rotate Y and key that. In fact, let me just check that I selected the right one there. I did, awesome. And then for our index 3, I'm going to load it as the driven, select our rotate Y and key that there. Awesome. So now I can set the index curl to -1, and all I'm going to do is select each of these. I think I might have just done something there that I didn't like. Let me select these again, and there we go. And all I'm going to do is drag all of these back a bit. Cool. So from its relaxed state to a non-relaxed state. And what I can do now is just load it as the driven, on the rotate Y and key that. Then the same for the next one, load it as the driven, rotate Y and key that. And then the same for the last one, load it as the driven, rotate Y and key that. So now we should have 0 and -1, which is all we need. And then we're going to go all the way to 5. I'm going to grab each of these again. And then I'm going to rotate them so they're nicely curled. Awesome. And then I can do that process again. So just have my selection tool on. So I'm going to load the driven, grab the rotate Y, key that, grab the next joint, load the driven, rotate Y, and key that one. And then the same for this last one. So grab the last joint, load driven, rotate Y, and key that. So now on this controller we have both of these which can fold over one another. And we can set them both to -1. Awesome. And then if we put the fingers out, we can curl this as well. Again, with the with a bit of skinning, this will be fine. But we're getting the main movement happening really nicely. If I hide that and set both of these to 0, we get a nice relaxed hand again. Awesome. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you've learned a great deal from it of how to set these driven keys. This will be available for you guys later down the line as well. We're going to be doing some painting of weights next. So I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.